Welcome to Starving Artist Compendium, Episode 3. My guest this evening is the lovely and talented Sara Moni. She is an amazing cosplayer. She has done an extensive amount of cosplays over the last couple of years, a little over 15 by my count. And she is extremely talented. She actually seems to really enjoy bringing lesser known characters to life, which is a lot of fun because when you see her cosplays, you go, who is that? And then you want to go research it. So it's a lot of fun talking to her about what drives her to pick the character she does pick to do. We talked a lot about the process behind designing a cosplay. Talked about a little bit with her work with Arizona Avengers, which is a charity cosplay group that does some really amazing stuff for kids. And just in general, had a great time. I met her a couple of years ago when I was doing photography. She modeled for me on a couple of shoots. And I just sort of kind of kept in touch with her via Facebook and just kind of watched her develop as a cosplayer. The world of cosplay is becoming intriguing to me because I'm seeing more and more people cosplay, and it's just kind of blowing my mind the amount of effort and skill these people have. As you'll hear, there is not a single thing on Sara's costume that she didn't make herself. So it's pretty impressive. And just as a reminder, my book, Honor Bound Awakenings, is still for sale. Link is in the About tab. Honor Bound Sacrifices should be done end of this month, and then hopefully up and finished by July 7th or so. Trying to get it all ready for my blog tours, which start July 16th. I will be updating all my stops along the way. If you comment on any of those blog tours, you will be put in a drawing to win a $40 Amazon.com gift card that I am offering. So, yay! You can use that gift card to buy my book. So I hope you enjoy what you see here and the interview, as well as all the photos that I put up of what she's done. So definitely take a look at her Facebook page, and thanks for joining. To welcome everybody to my third Starving Artist Compendium, and this is Sara. She is known through cosplay world as Sara Moni Cosplay. And I met her a couple years ago on a fashion shoot.
Yes.
Long time ago, back when I did photography. I think I did one or two shoots with you and had a lot of fun. So it's been really cool to kind of see you grow as a cosplayer and a seamstress. So I kind of wanted to find out, to start with, what got you interested in cosplay and sewing and all that?
Probably making t-shirts and stuff in high school.
Okay.
That was my first experience with sewing, and the costumes always have a remedial start point. It's just putting things together that you already have and making things. Like each costume, I try to push the envelope and try to get better and better, do something more elaborate each time. And so I can say that I've successfully covered like every medium. I've done extensive sewing. I've made wings. I've made props. I've had armor. I've had body paint. I think like those are like the main ones, and then this styling my own hair versus wigs, all sorts of contacts and things. So kind of run the gamut.
Okay, so for everybody who doesn't sew or do cosplay, like me, I've always been curious about the process for designing it. I mean, I know you, and I know Kiko, and I know a couple people, in the circle, but I've never really sat down and go, how do you plan and work out something that you see on a comic book and go, okay, so I'm going to translate this and make it real? Like, if you're looking at something, you go, well, I need a shiny fabric, or I need this type of fabric. How do you kind of get all that on paper and then make it work?
Sometimes things don't translate as well in real life. So yeah, fabric shopping is definitely the first thing. Just, okay, what will make this look the most accurate? What will make this look good? And I don't work off of patterns, so I literally just put things like I just scale them up.
Okay.
Just so that they'll fit me. And I just think that's easier. It's more custom. It's not like, let me find a pattern that's close to it, which takes up time and money trying to find patterns and aggravation. You have to spend money, and then you still have to do like extra steps. It's just a pain. So I make all my bodysuits are made from my body, so I know it's gonna be a good fit, and it's fine, and I can modify it however I want. So Yeah, I'd say fabric shopping is the first thing, and then just trying to visualize it, drawing it out helps.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Now you did Wasp, which had wings.
Hmm.
Um, and so I know there's a lot of people in the con cosplay world that do props, or do you kind of have certain people that you're like, yes, I want you to do this prop for this costume? So when you're planning something like Wasp or something where I think Omega Sentinel had some weapons on her as well.
Hmm.
Is that something you're like, okay, and you already start in your head knowing who you want to go to do these props, or you're like, I'm going to try to do it this time, or what's the thought process behind the props? And
I've made all of them,
oh, okay.
so
Congratulations. They're all
yeah,
awesome.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that's my go-to person, my
Mhm.
dad definitely,
Okay.
he helps out because he has access to the tools that we don't have at the house.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I get all the materials. I kind of have the mock-up and everything of how I want to do things, and
Hmm.
then I make them.
Then you make
So
them.
I think with the exception of just getting access to like shops, like I don't have a 3D printer.
Okay.
But like I had the design for my Psylocke side blades,
Hmm.
and so I just took them to my friend. He just cut them for me. Once I
Okay.
got them back, I filed it down, put the LEDs inside, painted them. So
So you have to learn a lot of new skills, it seems like, to do cosplay. You kind of like engineering and, you know.
oh, it's good though. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what I like about it. I like learning, these new things, and that's why each costume I want to kind of do something new and do something different. Work with a variety of fabrics,
Hmm.
even some jewelry making. Like I'm trying to think. Pluto, like I had to make her earrings. There's some other people. Yeah, her earrings, necklace. Inara, I had some things that I modified
Hmm.
too. So
Okay.
it's
Um,
good variety.
yeah. Now, when you're looking at characters that you're thinking of cosplaying, what draws you, other than, maybe something like a physical resemblance maybe, but what primarily draws you to pick a character? Like I know when you first posted your Anara, I was like, oh my God, Sarah, it's beautiful,
Oh,
That was just
thanks.
stunning, and I'm glad you got that shot with Nathan because I was just like, you must do this. That was hysterical. But I mean, what is there like something that you see in their story that you are attracted to them, or is it just the outfit looks really cool and you want to wear it, or kind of what's the mentality behind that?
It's definitely the character first.
Hmm.
Um, it's who I like, and often the characters I like are underrepresented.
Hmm.
So that's a plus for me
Hmm.
because I like bringing something new to the table that people haven't seen before, and
Right.
it's a great starting point for conversation for people who are new, who are like, I like your costume. I don't know who you are, but I like it. So it's like, oh, okay. Like since I finished Omega, there were people that are like, "Oh, I'm looking into her now since I saw your costume," and I'm like, "That's what's cool."
Hmm.
Like ultimately, it's about the characters. It's not about a race for likes. It's not about trying to be as sexy as you can be.
Right. Right.
It goes back to the character, and if you can
Okay.
pull it off, if you can swing it.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you did two gender swaps that I noticed was Havoc and
Wow.
who was the other gender swap I noticed?
It was
I wrote it down.
it's yeah, a ginger swap and a half. The frost giant, is that what you're
Okay,
thinking?
yeah, maybe yeah. But I know that Havoc was a gender swap, so I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm thinking of doing like a gender, and I talked to you about this before, but like a gender swap arrow when I have money and can afford to pay you people because I'm poor. But and I don't want to do like a half-ass version of it, so it's like when I can do it, it's going to get done well. But do you have other characters that you're like, this would be a cool gender swap? That you're kind of planning on, and what attracts you to the male characters that you want to do a gender swap with them? Just be like, well, this just be cool to do this character and I have to gender swap it because I'm female, or something that maybe you see in the character that you think would be cool to represent from a female perspective.
It's a mix of both.
Hmm.
For Havoc, I've always liked Havoc, and
Hmm.
again, he was never you never saw a lot of Havocs at cons,
Yeah.
like the male version, his classic costume or his
Hmm.
modern one. And yeah, he's always appealed to me. He's always more laid back because I hate Cyclops. Cyclops is a jerk. And Alex was always so much cooler. And I mean, he's leading the Uncanny Avengers right now, and you'd think that with a major title like that, and for him to be, a forerunning on the team,
Mm-hmm.
that you would see more people cosplaying as him. I mean, he's even in the new movies,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you don't. So I was like, I like Havoc, and I have some ideas. I want to work with this reflective fabric. I think
Mm-hmm.
this will be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, we'll go for Havoc. I mean, for the Frost Giant, it was kind of I call it a borderline because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't Laufey
Okay.
specifically, so I wasn't like a female version. I was just
A
one
frost
of because
giant. Okay.
in the movie you never see what the females look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of had some of my own ideas, and then looked at some art that people had done all over the internet, different versions, and
Mm-hmm.
what they thought, and kind of put all these ideas together, and wore that to the Thor 2 premiere. So
Awesome.
that was my plan.
That was a good plan.
Yeah.
Now, when did you start getting into comic books? Because it sounds like you know a lot about, obviously you know a lot about the characters you're presenting, but is there something like a moment that you're like, comic books, or did somebody introduce you to them, or have you just always been interested in comic books?
Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody else, when you're young, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
hard to get in reading, so you're watching the cartoons first.
Right, right.
So it's like the X-Men animated series, the Batman animated series,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see like the action figures, and then your attention span gets to where you can actually read.
Read.
And yeah, okay, I can deal with the pictures now.
Okay.
So yeah, when I was a wee one,
When you were a
and
wee
then
one.
once I started sewing, I was like, oh, I could actually do this. And I had friends that did it, and friends
Mm-hmm.
that just made their own clothes for a
Mm-hmm.
while. I was like, oh, I love this. I'd love to learn. I pretty much taught myself how to sew. Like
Mm-hmm.
after high school, did a little
Right.
like a home ec type class, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't fail. So I was like, okay, it's possible. So yeah, I just kind of started, and they just kept, like I said, just getting more and more elaborate, pushing the envelope. Okay, work with some different fabrics, make something. Storm has a cape. There's Sailor Pluto was a leotard, and
Mm-hmm.
something else. The Frost Giant was my first time working with like a vinyl, like faux leatherette type.
Right, right.
So
And they all present a lot of different challenges. I know just from talking to Kiko about some of the stuff she's sewn, she's just like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." Get that frustrated kind of feel to it. But
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Um, what do you think? Kind of like, I know everybody has their favorite, but what's kind of your favorite comic book? It doesn't have to be character, but series, or like maybe even just a theme, like some type of theme that you find in the comic books that you always find yourself wanting to read more about.
Um, People that struggle with humanity,
Okay.
either their own or tolerating us. That's interesting. Like with Omega, that's one of her biggest draws, is that she is, when she had her Sentinel
Mm-hmm.
implants and appendages and everything, she literally like glitch out into like that Sentinel side and come back to her human side, and was a loose cannon literally in
Right,
the
right.
sense of the word. So that's appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like I like a good redemption story.
Okay.
I like characters that are gray, that can go either good, bad, or neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Characters I don't like, predictable,
Mm-hmm.
self-righteous, obnoxious. Cyclops.
Cyclops.
Terrible. And we'll keep coming back to them. I hate you, Scott. Um, yeah, like
Just a little,
yeah,
right, Sarah?
just a little. Yeah, no, they have to have there has to be something more to them. I
Okay.
mean, even to step away from just to comics, to use Pluto as an example, like out of
Mm-hmm.
all the Sailor Scouts, she's the oldest, she's the most reserved, but she's probably got the most intense powers. I mean, controlling time and space is pretty.
That pretty much takes care of everything else. If you can do
Yeah,
those, you're good with everything else.
yeah, like speak softly and carry a big stick. Like she is the Teddy Roosevelt of this. It is. It's the garnet rod. That's the stick.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Well, and I mean, I don't follow comic books too closely, but I do read through a lot of their synopsis and a lot of the stuff. And you see that. I also find it interesting when they start going to parallel universes or other storylines. It's like in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, we have to have a redemption story, so we're going to go over here and make it even darker, and then kind of bring them back. So I see that. I kind of notice that a lot. And like Wolverine's a big example where like it seems like every timeline he goes on, it's like, well, let's see how much more we can put him through.
Basically,
through how much more can we torture him? But it's always testing that character to see how far they're going to go, and if there is a breaking point for them. Now, when you do cosplays, and I went to con, and I didn't notice it too much, but I'm curious if you or anybody that you know that does cosplay ever kind of maybe takes on the character a little bit, like when you're walking around Comic-Con, do you kind of sometimes going to go, okay, well, I am Sentinel, or I am this person, and try to portray them more of like an acting way, or is it just more of I'm in the costume and I'm representing them through the costume?
no, you definitely you act the part, especially when you're going to take a picture. I mean, maybe not the whole time, because that's kind of just the people that are like, hey, I can't talk to you because I'm in Batman mode and I can't speak or anything, because that's just like dial it back. But like if you're going to be having fun, especially like if you're in a group, like when I was in Inara, I was just kind of walking around like hands clasped, very, very demure, and kind of, going with it because we were all together and we were getting stopped for a lot of pictures. So you just kind of, you fall into it. So I would say a little bit, and it would depend on the costume.
Okay.
Like in Vegas, there was a really good Joker. He did Heath Ledger's Joker, and he was walking around with like his back all hunched and all like shiesty-eyed and everything, and it looked the part. And especially if you're doing a character that's that well known and you're acting, it just it translates a lot better. Okay. If you have a Jack Sparrow that's hanging out, doing his thing, people love it because everybody gets it.
Right.
If I walk around in like a total like zoned out expression as Omega, they're gonna be like, we don't know who she is. Is she just mean? We want to ask for a picture, but she looks really intimidating.
Right.
So I think you have to just use your best judgment with the costume and with the audience.
With the audience, yeah, kind of see what the vibe is.
Right.
Have you done, and I didn't notice at the Phoenix, but do you do any panels at Comic-Cons where you're talking about cosplay? I didn't really see you on the schedule or see you post anything about it, but I'm just curious, is that something that you look forward to doing, kind of talking about cosplay to other people, or is that something you're kind of more like, I do my thing and I'll share my pictures, but I don't necessarily want to do a whole entire panel about it?
Actually, I did a panel with the Arizona Avengers.
Okay.
So as collectively, we were talking about cosplay for charity and cosplay for community. So that I was a part of, which was really awesome because we celebrated our 5th year anniversary.
Nice.
5 years of spandex and smiles. Yes.
And I am familiar with the Arizona Avengers page. When you go out and do the charity things, and for those who don't know, like Sarah said, Arizona Avengers is a group that cosplays, and you guys do a lot of charity work. I know there was some stuff you went out and hung out with some kids, and kind of just brought kind of the whole theme of everything to life. Is that something that you guys get invited to, that people find out? Or are you kind of actively promoting Arizona Avengers as a charity organization to try to bring a message to kids or whoever?
We get invitation. People ask us to show up for events.
Okay.
Like our latest one was at St. Vincent de Paul for these kids that can't afford meals.
Okay.
So they go to have food, and we surprise them all that like all their heroes, like Spider-Man's like serving them dinner, and these kids were super excited for that, which I think was awesome. We'll do some events, like we'll do our comic stuff and our movie premieres and things like that, but it's the events that you see kids that normally wouldn't have a chance to go to Comic-Con, wouldn't have a chance to go to Disneyland or see anything like that.
Right.
That is like, yeah, I can see myself doing this for a very long time.
Makes you feel like a superhero.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because I know Jenna, she does the Rocket Raccoon, and I know she hangs out with the Arizona Avengers too. And so it's just kind of interesting. So like I know all these people through back in the day when I was doing photos, and it's kind of interesting to see where everybody's gone over the last 3 or 4 years of just, keeping in touch with all of you guys. So it's kind of neat to watch. I did want to ask your steampunk Jasmine, because I love that outfit. I love that cosplay. What was the inspiration for going, Jasmine steampunk? Yes. Take this, Aladdin. I don't need a flying carpet. I've got steam power.
Basically, yeah. Well, she kind of told the law that by changing it at the drop of a hat. So
Yep.
Jasmine is awesome. It was a part. I don't know if you saw like the full group picture in our group of just. We had a Belle, we had Ariel, we had Tinkerbell, we had a whole bunch of Disney characters, and we all did like these alternative versions. Some were kind of steampunky, some were more just like more of a morbid take. Like our Esmeralda was half burned.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Okay.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, are you a zombie?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "If you remember the movie in Hunchback, they burn her at the stake, or they're about to before she gets saved." So. So I guess if they were a little slow on the rescue, what she would have looked like. So,
okay.
So like in context, it made it really cool. But I got the idea from an artist who's on DeviantArt, and she had the basic sketch. I sent her a message. I said, "Hey, I love this design. I'd like to cosplay it." She was like, "Yeah, sure." She's like, "Yeah, send it to me when you're done." And when I sent it to her, she was just like, "Oh my God, this is no way. This is so cool." So she was really happy with it. So for me, it's like, it's the same thing as someone from like Marvel or something seeing my work and like, "Yeah, this is what I had in mind. Like you did it justice." I'm like,
Right.
That's what you want to hear.
Right.
There were a few things that I changed, but overall it was her kind of basic design, but I just wanted to blend like the actual, like her traditional outfit more into the design, so it would look more like, oh, you can tell it's Jasmine. You don't have to be like, "Oh, this is cool. I don't really know what it is for sure." So, but thank you. It's a lot of fun. I really love that one. I'll eventually do her classic outfit, but not just yet.
Not just yet.
Yeah.
Now, every year you always debut a ton of costumes right at Phoenix Comic-Con. How far ahead are you planning those out? Because I know it takes a long time to sew 4 costumes. So is that like, I mean, are you already planning for next year going, I want to do this, and kind of sketching right now? Or you're like, I'm just tired. I need a break.
I'm planning for Sabo right now.
Sabo, okay.
And Tucson. So I have to plan not too far ahead because then I get anxious and I'm like, I just want to do it right now and finish it. I can't plan that far ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say overall I start working at least by a month out. Most of them are about 2.5 months out.
Okay. What do you think, what costume did you spend the most time on, or was the most agonizing that you're like, oh, why did I come up with this idea kind of costume? Or just that was the most detailed that you had to put a lot more time in than maybe some of your other costumes? Like your Inara was just stunning. I'm going to keep raving on Inara. So
thank you. Yeah, no, I love it. I'm glad it happened just because it made me feel confident just as a seamstress, because that really wasn't a costume. Like I made a dress.
Right.
Probably Omega, because I had to remake it 3 times.
Oh, geez.
I had some fabric issues just with the white vinyl that were not working out, and third time I actually got it, and it was so close. It was finished maybe 2 days before con, maybe.
Oh,
yeah. So, but it was done. It was done.
Having panic attacks at the sewing machine.
I drink when I sew because it makes everything so much better. So much better. I can handle it and deal with things.
You're like, seam, wine.
Yeah. Oh, you're laughing. I'm not. That's about how it went.
Poor thing. Now, you're seem to be transitioning, and I'm not sure if this is the appropriate term, but almost like a professional cosplayer. You're getting invited to cons. You're promoting yourself to go to cons. Is that kind of your goal, that you're doing this sort of as a profession, or Is it becoming just a hobby that's sort of overtaking everything else? Kind of what do you want to see with your cosplay?
Yeah, it's definitely it's hobby and it's fun first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost. Everything else is just gravy. I mean, if someone had the ability to do what they love to do and other people are like, "Hey, we want to enjoy it too."
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not going to be bent out of shape if I'm not invited anywhere. But
Right.
if there's a chance that are like, "Hey, you can travel," which is something I like to do. You can go to a con, something I like to do, and it's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah.
So that's just an opportunity that I mean, I think anyone would take, and I'm at a place where I can afford the time to go and do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a balance because when I go, I'm not going to consistently sell. The times when I'm selling at the booths are because I had to pay for part of my trip to get there.
Okay. Okay.
So it really is like a give and take. If everything ends up being a wash,
Mm-hmm.
that's a success to me.
Okay.
You know, I'm not really doing it for profit. Everything that I make goes into getting to conventions and making new costumes.
Right.
So it really is just kind of like a pool that gets recycled. I'm not trying to be like, hey, that's why I don't spam too much. Like I'm going to make a post about it probably in the next week or so for the new costumes that I've prints for
Mm-hmm.
people that want them. But I don't do that often. I mean, you can scroll through my timeline. The last time I did it was probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, I noticed you don't do that much. Like the fantasy photo shoots where you've got lightning coming out of your hands, your storm. You know,
Mhm.
the Psylocke ones were cool because they gave you kind of that whole glowing dagger look. I know you
Yeah.
put the LEDs in, but I know it looked like they enhanced that a bit.
Yeah.
Was that something that when you were creating the costume, or like at some point I want to do this, or did a photographer come up and go, "Hey, we can do this, and I can make this look awesome." So I was just kind of curious how that came about.
Well, I do graphic design. Graphic design is what I went to school for, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
my other freelance thing. So no, I when I get them, I do my own edits unless I specify that someone else did something. So because you want to sell the character, especially if their power is something that is really key
Mm-hmm.
to what they look like.
Right, right.
That's why
Ah, okay.
it is a big part of it. I mean, it is costume play, so it's not just being in costume. You really have to sell the character.
Yeah. Now, why the two different storms? Are they you just like both outfits or both costumes or like both characters, or did you do the one and then the other one came out in the movie and you're like, I must do this one?
No, the first one with the black suit, it wasn't really a costume. They were all just things that I had already and that I just
Oh,
put
okay.
together.
Okay.
So that was my first one to join the AZA,
Mm-hmm.
just to get in, to get approved, and then I started making ones. I always wanted to make the white suit,
Okay.
but I wasn't confident at that point, and I just wanted to go ahead and join. They're like, "You should join. You should join." I was approached probably about a year and a half before actually joining
Okay.
to get in. I was like, "Oh, I'll get around to it," and like I lost contact, and then I went back Comic-Con 2011 and joined then. It was 2011 or 2012
Okay.
joined.
Okay. So they had seen some of your prior cosplays and were like, "Oh, she'd be awesome," and then you just kind of had to come up with the outfit to fit the Arizona Avengers sort of theme,
Yeah.
or
So like
okay.
I had stuff that was like it was like Alice in Wonderland. Like it wasn't Marvel.
Right.
So
Right.
the Storm was the first one, and I'm like, God, I wish I had gotten in a little bit sooner. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. Exactly. The Kaylee cosplay that I saw, that was a while ago.
Yes.
And I'm not familiar with that character, but I thought it was a really, really beautiful cosplay that you did. Can you tell me a little bit about that character?
A little bit. Actually, that is the only costume that is not mine. I wear it on behalf of Nightingale, which is a
Okay.
local comic,
Okay.
and I just kind of like I do the makeup differently than some of the other girls, the past Kayleys that I've
Okay.
that have worn it. So I kind of made it my own, and
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it. It's a cute story. It's a
Mm-hmm.
family friendly comic. So um, at every event, like a lot of the kids come up and they're excited to see because like the main character has like bright pink hair and she's got this fun little outfit, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's cute for the kids. So I have no problem, helping out and supporting that because there's a lot often at cons that you see that's like, oh, it's a little awkward for kids to be looking at this right now, but
Yeah, like the 5 million different versions of Harley Quinn, and then you're like, ooh, there's the good one, and then there's the like more adult version of Harley Quinn.
yeah. It's like,
It's
well,
like, ooh.
yeah, but I mean, hey, to each their own. So
Yeah.
for the kids, I feel yeah, more comfortable kind of like supporting that and supporting those types of comics just because I mean, there's variety in everything.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the only one that I did not make so that
oh,
I wear
okay.
half
Okay.
of Nightingale.
Nightingale. Does Nightingale have other characters that if you were going to cosplay that you might want to cosplay for them, or is that like their main line is the character that Kaylee's in?
Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of character designs that I really like
Mm-hmm.
that I mean might be a possibility in the future,
Mm-hmm.
depending. But yeah, I have a list of everyone that I want to cosplay, and it's always growing. But usually there's about five or six that I kind of have in mind of like, oh, maybe this will happen, maybe
Maybe, yeah.
we'll see.
So this is something I've always wanted to ask cosplayers because, especially after you guys have been doing it for a while, how big is your cosplay closet gonna be that you're storing all these stuff in? Eventually, you're gonna need a storage unit, Sarah, to like store your costumes.
Probably. Well right now everything stays in my closet right now.
Okay.
And I have room. The good thing is that I don't have anything that's too bulky.
Yeah.
So for the most part the bodysuits are a
Mhm.
storage tub that I was actually just organizing like an hour ago that all my accessories are in.
Okay.
And the way I look at it is that if I need room, I'll just get rid of my regular clothes because I have tons of clothes that I never wear anyway. So
That's true passion right there.
yeah, I'm like, well, just because I have a lot of like regular clothes that are
Mhm.
just old and just taking up space that I never wear anyway. So I'm like,
Eh,
I'll wear the costume more than I wear this. So it'll get
yeah.
so that's
Now,
why.
yeah. Another thing I want to ask because I know you're always debuting costumes. Do you ever choose to recycle one like in a year that you'll wear it to a different con? Like, will you wear Omega to another con this year, or you'll put it on
Oh
the
yeah.
shelf for a while and then come out and bring her back again? Is that do you kind of have a plan for that? It's just like kind of whatever you feel like wearing at that con, that's what you'll wear.
Yeah, it's whatever I feel like. Like
Hmm.
at Sabo, I'm obviously gonna wear Sailor Pluto. I'm
Hmm.
gonna work on something else that's, anime related. It would just depend on the convention and again the audience that'll be there, who will get,
Right.
the biggest kick out of it and who's gonna enjoy it. Because that's what matters. There's nothing worse than like, going to a convention and it's like, oh, no one really recognizes it. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
It'll always be fun for me, but you know, you want other people to have a good time because the attendees that go to cons, especially the ones that bring their kids or they're like, oh, it's my first time, showing up to one. That's what they want to see. Like you're paying to see the people in costume. You're
Hmm.
paying to see these panels and these interesting topics and people. So
Hmm.
giving into that is important, I think, because it helps everybody have fun. It makes the experience again. It's what makes it different from just like a random person being in costume for like Halloween or something.
Right, right. Yeah, because they're people are kind of almost in a way bonding to who you're playing at that moment. They're like, ah. I remember when I went to con last year, I was just there for a little bit, but there was this amazing Batman. And that poor man got stuck in a corner for a good 45 minutes because I was eating lunch with somebody and he was just like, picture, 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 picture. And I was just like, I really respected him for it because he never once seemed to get frustrated about it. But he was constantly surrounded. He had a whole half circle around him for a good 45 minutes. And it was just picture, 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 picture. It was crazy.
Mhm.
But it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic because I'm still hesitant to go up to people. I know that's kind of part of the con thing, but I also feel like, well, I don't want to ruin their enjoyment of the con. But I know a lot of cosplayers go because they want to have that interaction with people going, oh, that's an awesome costume, and can I
Yeah,
get your picture? So,
right.
I think it's an interesting dynamic that Comic Cons have because that's not something that you normally would. You don't go to like a friend of mine and I used to do reptile shows. You don't go up to random people at a reptile
Yeah.
show. Can I get a picture of you? It's more usually, can I get a picture of your lizard? But
Mhm.
it's not something that you don't normally do on the street. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. Now we talked a little bit about panels. What type of panel do you think hasn't happened, maybe in a cosplay sense that maybe should happen? I know this year there was a lot of talk about, cosplay is not consent and respecting people who are in costume. Is there a topic or something that you would like to do a panel on, or maybe you felt hasn't been covered in other panels? I'm just curious because I know cosplay is like building a lot. I see more and more cosplay pages popping up all the time. So as it gets bigger, is there something that you think that needs to be addressed in kind of the cosplay realm?
Um, not really, because I mean, the key thing is always going to be respect and cosplay who you want. You
Right.
know, if you want to cosplay someone, you're going to do it without fear of what other people are going to say. So if you have that respect, then people will want to do that, and vice versa. It just promotes, you know, a cycle that's just it's fun and what it's supposed to be about. Um, so yeah, I would just say those are definitely the most important. As for things that aren't touched on a lot, or that from what I haven't seen, would just be things that are more, I guess, just more prop related. But then there's, I don't know. I think there's a lot of variety in panels of technical skill, and the ones that are more like community positive, I guess,
Okay.
panels. So yeah, that's a tough one. I guess what I'll say fun panels.
Okay.
We did one last year, the AZA, where we invited everyone, all ages, all different I guess fandom levels of Marvel were all invited, and we did the panel all in character.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun because you have, this little girl's asking. I was in Storm at the time, and this little girl was like, "What's your favorite ice cream?" You're like, okay, but you can't break character, so it's like you have to answer that, and then you'll have someone else that'll ask a question that's like, "So when's the last time you've seen T'Challa? What's your relationship like right now?" It's like, oh, okay, more serious than people that'll ask even more in-depth questions, and then to kind of banter with the people that you're with, if you're from the same thing. Oh, Black Widow, remember that one time? Oh, don't let Hawkeye hear that. Oh, and then everyone laughs and has fun. So yeah, more panels like that. More panels about fun
More panels like
things.
fun things.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be kind of, and I know, I think that would be fun because you would have to make sure you have a pretty good level of knowledge of your character,
Hmm.
and that would be challenging. You'd have to like, oh, I'm on this panel, I've got to study for like the next 6 months,
Oh, no,
everything.
no, no. No, it's a lot of fun. Like, we had a new member that was on the panel, and she was like, I'm just new into this, but I really like it. And it's like, hey, that's fine. You don't need to be an encyclopedia, know about everything to not be a fan, because everybody starts somewhere.
Right, right.
There's always going to be someone that knows more, and there's always going to be someone, who can just remember more.
Right.
We have members that are like, oh, I've been reading the comics since 1970, and there are people that are like, I haven't been born until like 20 years after. So it's but yeah, again, it's all about respect and just being genuinely excited and really enjoying what you're reading about and what you are costuming in, and the community that you're in. So I mean, the more you know, the funnier it can be, because you have more things to pick from. You have more ammunition. But
Like, yeah,
everyone,
Cyclops, remember when?
yeah, no, exactly. And then you'll have people where it's like, oh, they really know about, this character, and before you know it, Doctor Doom and Reed Richards are going back about their college days and back and forth, and everyone else is just kind of like, we're just going to let them talk about that while we can be over here. And then it's enjoyable because the people that aren't getting the background still think it's funny because you still get it. And the people that know are really laughing because they're like, oh, I actually remember they're actually using, canon
References.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you about. You did a Miss America one, and on your
Yeah.
page it said Miss America Chavez.
Yes.
Is that the actual? And I didn't get a chance to look it up, but is that the actual character name, or was that kind of something you just okay? So what's the genesis of that character? Because I had never actually heard or seen of that character, much like Omega Sentinel. Never heard of her before.
Definitely. Oh, Miss America. A part of the reason why I like her so much is because we do not know her background.
Okay.
We do not know her origins, not really. We know that she is not human.
Mm-hmm.
She's a superhuman, if you will, but she has two moms,
Mm-hmm.
and she is her main ability is to transportation within dimensions within universes.
Okay.
So, have you seen the new X-Men?
Not Days of Future Past. No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. Well, she can just channel her energy, and it will show up in the in like a giant star,
Okay.
and she can just like kick into it, slam into it, and when she jumps through, she can jump into, whatever universe she
Different
wants
ones.
to, and
Okay.
anyone that she's bringing
Mm-hmm.
can jump into it, and I think that's pretty cool because I was like, you can literally go anywhere you want in
Mm-hmm.
any universe at any time. And she's super strong, and she can fly, and she's a all around sass factory, that's what I really like.
All around
She
South
she
Factory.
takes no prisoners,
Mm-hmm.
so she's definitely a very interesting character. I want to cosplay her original suit. She first came in. She's with the Young Avengers, so she is an Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
And the first run was in 2005, and she had this different kind of, it was like a weird like shield, like bandeau top with like some red pants. It was a little weird, so I might do that costume. And I
Mm-hmm.
might do her other new Young Avengers costume, the reboot from 2013.
Okay.
So the cool thing about that costume is that I reblogged it on Tumblr, and the writer and the illustrator of the current run for the version that I did both saw it and loved it.
Nice.
I was so excited. So I was like, getting that seal of approval is so awesome, especially for a character that, maybe not a lot of people recognize at
Mm-hmm.
conventions, but I'm like, if the originators, if the creators can recognize it and
And go
give the
and
thumbs up, then I'm
awesome.
upset.
Yeah, I remember when Nathan Fillion commented on your tweet, and you're just like, oh my god.
I was over the moon. I was like, this is it. This is fine. And the other thing that was really cool is Gail Simone, even though she's mostly known for writing DC, saw my Ultimate Wasp
Oh, okay.
and reblogged that and had wonderful things to say about it. And all the subsequent comments were really positive, and I was like, this is awesome, like getting that sort of feedback. So yeah, I felt pretty good about it. I was like, I'm exonerated if I ever have like a low point, because there's times everybody gets frustrated with working on things and
Mm-hmm.
seeing a costume and you're like, oh, I'd love to do this, but oh, I don't think I can. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and at least try.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from my uneducated eye, because I don't know a lot of the comics, everything that you've put out's just blown me away. So, and that was kind of one reason I wanted to talk to you, because it's like I knew you kind of before you started doing all this, so it's kind of I kind of wanted to talk to you more about this whole thing, because I find it really fascinating. I find the whole concept of cosplay like I'm becoming more fascinated by it. I don't know if it's because I'm starting to write, books, and I'm kind of creating more characters in my head. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if somebody did my character, it's somebody like, I love your character enough that I want to portray them, but just kind of the whole concept of cosplay is interesting to me. So I kind of wanted to, get some information and see how cosplayers view the cosplay world. Because it seems to just be popping up everywhere. I know you don't do a ton of anime yet. Is there any more anime stuff that you're going to be doing other than the Sailor Pluto one? Is there something else that you're kind of looking at, or?
Yeah, from Bleach. Do you watch Bleach?
Yes, I have watched Bleach.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yoriichi.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
that for now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to think of any others. Not necessarily anime, but just I guess still Japanese creation from Zelda, since Nintendo's Japanese. I'm gonna count it in there. So yes, I'll do. Zelda's my favorite video game franchise. So
Okay.
first Zelda character, so first video game character
Mm-hmm.
will come up sometime this year, hopefully.
Nice.
I like to be hush hush because you never know what won't happen, and I don't like if I say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and then it falls through or it doesn't turn out the way I want, and then I scrap it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the big reveal because that's fun. It's fun to keep people guessing.
Yeah. Now, kind of in closing, because I know you mentioned you have a list that you're going through. Is there some character that you've seen that you're like, I want to do this so badly, but I'm not sure if I'm there yet, or this is like my dream character, and it's just a really complex outfit that you're not sure that you're there yet? I'm just kind of curious, like if you had a dream character to cosplay that you haven't yet, who would that character be? Either way, I don't care what franchise or whatever you're pulling it from, just like a dream character.
I don't have any. Omega was for the longest time because I'd been planning on cosplaying her for about a year. So now that that is done, I don't know. I said I'd never make wings again, but I'm going to do that for something. They they shouldn't be too extensive, so I'm not too worried. Honestly, I'd like to get into more like wig making.
Okay.
For a character that I have in mind, they have short blonde hair,
That's
which
going
is
to be a switch.
yeah, the complete opposite of my hair, and not even like the Lady Havoc short, like shaggy blonde hair, but it's gonna be even shorter than that. And I'm trying to find out the best way to do that. And a version if I'm probably gonna remake one of the Storms, and when she has her cool mohawk,
Uh-huh. Yep.
but I have no idea how to pull that off with this pound of hair. So I would say I have wig dreams.
Wig dreams.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have cosplay dreams right now per se, but just wig dreams.
And then my other question, just because you mentioned like being in character on the panels, if somebody were to approach you for doing like a web series in character with like the Arizona Avengers, or like I want to get a couple of the Avengers and do like a web series or something like that, would that be something that you want to do?
That'd be awesome. Yes, 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 yes. I would love to do. I'm excited. One of our members, he does a Magneto right now, but he's working on a Hank Pym, and that is the ex-husband of Wasp.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, that would be fun to play around with. To give you, do you know much about Hank Pym or Ant-Man?
I started researching it when I looked up Wasp to find out what character it was that you were cosplaying.
hmm No, it's fine. No, that's good. Like if
Yeah.
if everyone gets you reading, then I'm doing my job. Things are dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. See, I'm a little familiar with their story. So that would be kind of fun. Yeah, because I mean, I know a lot of people that are creative that have camera skills and whatever, and also it'd be kind of cool since there's so many people that have the costumes and have the skills to just kind of take it that next step further, where you're just like, let's do a little short. And it doesn't even have to be like chasing a bad guy thing. It could just be like a day in the life of the Avengers,
Oh yeah.
kind of like they're having shawarma.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Shoot another
And
shawarma scene.
yeah, no, that's why I think that works so well, and that's why it was so funny and it caught on so well because it's like, all right, well now that the big epic battle's done, it's like, okay, now what?
Now what? Yep.
And I think that's what makes the Marvel movies so much more successful than the DC ones. Sorry, DC. I enjoy them, but I think Marvel has it just because I think they really get into the character and not just the gritty action,
Do you think that's more of like Whedon's influence or the writer's influence? Because he's very good at backstories and those little intimate moments.
He is definitely. I mean, I think I wish that they had never sold X-Men to Fox. I wish that Spider-Man never went to Sony, that they could all exist in the same nice umbrella,
Right.
just because the cohesiveness is what makes the movies so great.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things at play that make a really good story, but Whedon definitely had a lot to. I mean, Avengers made everybody sit up and take notice. People that are like, I don't like comic books. People that didn't care liked that movie. So it's like you did something right, and I think that they're only on a good track for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to go see. I think I'm caught up. The only thing I haven't seen is Iron Man 3, and I haven't seen Thor 2. But
Go
I
see
wait.
that.
I wait till it all comes out on Netflix and watch it. I did go see Maleficent.
Okay.
I know this isn't like comic, but if you haven't seen it, I will tell you that
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Oh, yes.
The twist they put on that story, just, and I'm not gonna, because I don't want to spoil it for people yet, but like everybody that in the theater with me was just like, we did not see that coming at all. Just the whole concept of the true love kiss. We're like, no one saw that coming. So I thought that was really awesome how they did that whole show, and the special effects at the beginning blew me away.
Oh, yeah.
The fairies, the three good fairies, with how their faces were on the little bodies, and the CGI was seamless. I was just blown away by that. So that made my day.
No, it's true. Absolutely. I think it's just as important, and it's just as overlooked as like cosplay photographers. It's like half these costumes wouldn't look, anything like what people see without the talent of the photographers. So I think it's very important, and the designers who edit and do manipulations and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I know you're not big on sneak peeks, but how many costumes are you doing for SaboCon? I think you said you're doing 1, or was it 2 that you're doing for Saboton? I'm
gonna try and shoot for 2. If I get 3 done, that would be great. I like to die and push myself. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures and what you're going to put up, because they're always just stunning. So I just want to totally congratulate you on your efforts, because I've seen a lot of cosplay stuff lately, and yours still just blows me away on what you do. So congratulations, good job.
Yeah, now I'm like, keep it up. But it's good, because I mean, the more you do it, the more you learn, and the more you pick up. So
yeah, cool. Well, I want to thank you for joining me and taking the time. And I'm going to edit this all up and post it, and I'll send you the link and everything. So if you want to post it wherever, you're more than welcome to as well.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Not a problem. And I might be going to Sabo, so I should try. If I go, I'll try to catch up with you at SaboCon and say hi.
Yeah, definitely. You can take some pictures, put them on your blog or whatever.
Cool. Awesome, ma'am. You have a good night.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.